Former college athletes from the University of New Orleans, Nicholls State, and Tulane are named in a federal indictment. They're accused of fixing basketball games.
That's right. So Josh Robertson's in the studio with us now to talk about these charges. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Lucy. Hey, Kelsey. Yeah, and according to that indictment, those players were offered somewhere between $10,000 and $30,000 allegedly to manipulate games so that bettors could profit. These are the names of the local athletes that are mentioned in this indictment. UNO's Josh Short said Quavius Hunter were already banned from the NCAA. That happened last year after being accused of helping to fix games. But yesterday, when that indictment came down, for the first time, Tulane's Kevin Cross, Nicholls' Omar Qureshi, and UNO's Carlos Hart were named. Now, Cross no longer plays college basketball. Hart and Qureshi have since moved on to other schools. Now, Cross is accused of fixing a game back in 2024 against East Carolina. Qureshi, who played for Nicholls at the time, scored 0 points and allegedly got paid $20,000 for underperforming in a game against McNeese. He now plays for Texas Southern. Hart, playing for UNO at the time, was allegedly paid $20,000 also to help lose a game against Lamar. He's now he's now playing for Eastern Michigan. Former LSU All-American Antonio Blakeney is also mentioned in this indictment, but not charged with anything. But he allegedly recruited players who would accept bribe payments. And Blakeney is charged separately. U.S. attorneys say this investigation started back in 2022 with game fixing in the Chinese Basketball Association. Those fixers would bet on games from the U.S. They say that bettors then expanded their scheme to Division I college basketball games in the 2023-24 season.
Imperils the integrity of sport itself. And when that happens, the Department of Justice will step in to protect what is a sacred institution of American life.
Now, our Fox 8 sports crew reached out to Nicholls and Tulane for statements regarding the accusations. Nicholls released a statement saying, quote, Nicholls State University is strongly against any acts that go against our values and expectations. The Nicholls Athletics Department continues to provide gambling awareness education to student athletes. In a statement from Tulane, the university says it takes the integrity of intercollegiate athletics and the well-being of our student athletes very seriously. It says we cooperate fully with the NCAA and, where appropriate, with law enforcement. Our sports team also reached out to UNO for a statement, but have not yet heard back. It is worth mentioning that when UNO had players accused of fixing games last year, the school was not sanctioned. Only the players were punished at that time. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you so much, Josh. Well, overnight.